Hi, my loves. Welcome back to the Starscartel channel. If you don't know, I am Star. The message I heard is every plan has failed, yet they come up with a new one. Okay? The scripture comes from Daniel and 10. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a revelation was given to Daniel, who had been named Belteshazzar. The revelation from the vision: in those days, I, Daniel, mourned 3 full weeks. I ate no savory food. I took no meat or wine, and I did not anoint myself at all until the end of the 3 weeks. On the 24th day of the 1st month, I was on the bank of the great river of Tigris. As I looked up, I saw a man dressed in linen, with a belt of fine gold around his waist. His body was like chrysolite. His face shone like lightning. His eyes were like fiery torches. His arms and feet looked like burnished bronze, and his voice sounded like the roar of a multitude. I alone, Daniel, saw the vision, but great fear seized the men who were there with me. They fled and hid themselves, although they did not see the vision. So I was left alone, seeing this great vision. No strength remained in me. I turned the color of death and was powerless. When I heard the sound of his voice, I fell face forward in a faint. But then a hand touched me, raising me to my hands and knees. Daniel, beloved, he said to me, understand the words which I am speaking to you. Stand up, for my mission now is to you. When he said this to me, I stood up trembling. Fear not, Daniel, he continued. From the first day you made up your mind to acquire understanding and humble yourself before God, your prayer was heard. Because of it, I started out, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia stood in my way for 21 days until finally Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me. I left him there with the prince of the kings of Persia and came to make you understand what shall happen to your people in the days to come, for there is yet a vision concerning those days. While he was speaking thus to me, I fell forward and kept silent. Then something like a man's hand touched my lips. I opened my mouth and said to the one facing me, my Lord, I was seized with pangs at the vision, and I was powerless. How can my Lord's servant speak with you, my Lord? For now no strength or even breath is left in me. The one who looked like a man touched me again and strengthened me, saying, fear not, beloved, you are safe. Take courage and be strong. When he spoke to me, I grew strong and said, speak, my Lord, for you have strengthened me. Do you know, he asked, why I have come to you? Soon I must fight the prince of Persia again. When I leave, the prince of Greece will come. But I shall tell you what is written in the truthful book. No one supports me against all these things except Michael, your prince, standing as a reinforcement and a bulwark for me. Now I shall tell you the truth. So here's the message, okay? For someone, God said what he said and he mean what he said. Now, there may be people that are fighting against what God said. There may be people that are trying to stand in your way of doing what God has asked you to do. But God said, they're not fighting you. God said he have angels to fight that. He got angels for that. You don't have to worry about that. Don't stress yourself about that. Don't worry yourself about that, because God said what he said and he mean what he said, and he said what he said and he mean what he said. Every time whoever has put up a plan against you, every time the enemy come against you, trying to whisper things that are lies, trying to make you have these evil thoughts. This is for somebody that the enemy, you know what God said to you. You know what God promised you. You know what God promised you, and you know what God said to you. And the enemy will come and try to tell you something that goes against what God said. The enemy will come and try to make you believe something that is against what God said. That's why, I always say this, that you have to be careful. Every message is not for anybody. You don't want to find yourself listening to a message or a prophetic word that is going directly against what God has already spoke to you about your life. Now, if God then already told you that you're going to grow old and you're going to have gray hairs, then why in the world would you believe the enemy trying to tell you a lie about something going to happen to you? That is from the pits of hell. God already told you that wasn't going to happen. So it's no need in stressing yourself out and believing the lie the enemy said. God said he already got angels fighting the enemy. It's not going to come to pass. This is a situation where the enemy keep coming up with new ideas as to what they gonna do, what he gonna do, and how he gonna do it. He keeps sending out demons to attack you. It don't matter what they do. It don't matter how they do it. They are not going to win. They already lost. The only thing that they can do is try to make you believe that they will win, to cause you to fall short when it comes to what God has asked you to do. Because if you sitting around and you're pondering about what the enemy said, the lie that the enemy told you, how can you focus on what God told you to do right now? How can you focus on preparing for what God asked you to do? How can you get yourself together for what God has in store for you? Because the enemy is a liar, and we know that. That's a fact. The enemy don't know nothing about what God has for you. The enemy don't have no hand in what the future promises that God has already promised you. The enemy can't take nothing from you. He want to try to. And how is he trying to do this? By making you believe that what God promised you is not going to come to pass. By making you believe that things will happen to you that God told you already it's not going to happen. By trying to put you in a position to where you do things to sacrifice, so that you do things to get in the way, like you get in God's way. Yeah, if you believe what the enemy lied to you about, the enemy lied and said that this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And if you, that this is what the future God really had for you. God told you he was going to give you all these things, but that's not true because this is going to happen. Then you will start living in a way where you are assuming that that thing is going to happen. And then you can't, you won't receive exactly what God had for you, because you are failing to do what you have to do in order to receive it. And you're going to find yourself going around in circles. Going around in circles because you believe the lie that the devil told you. And guess what you're going to have to do? Start over again. Because you failed to listen to what God said. So you have to be careful with this. I'm going to go over it again. God is leading me to go over it again. Listen. When the enemy comes to you, the enemy is trying to make you believe that there is something that is going to happen that will cause you not to receive the promise that God has for you. The lie that the enemy is telling you is intended to distract you to such an extent. This will be like, God promised you that you're going to have a husband and y'all are going to have children. And you decide that you're working towards you getting yourself together. You are, taking care of yourself. You're on your Esther fast. You really getting everything together, getting your mind prepared, getting your body prepared, and focused on God. Then the enemy comes and says, yeah, but the husband that God is talking about, they not really that good. They may not make money like that. They may not do this. They may not do that. And then instead of focusing on what God asked you to focus on, you start focusing on things that have to do with that. Like you start focusing on trying to figure out some kind of way to ensure that, God then asked you to focus on yourself and asked you to focus on certain things, but you decide to start focusing on getting your own career. And it's nothing wrong with a woman having her own career, but if God has asked you to get ready for your husband and you decide to put that stuff down and start focusing on this career, then you will not be prepared for your husband when your husband comes. And so that is on the back burner, and now you focused on a career. And then you're going to look up and realize that what Satan said was going to happen didn't happen. And you actually do have a husband that is wonderful. The husband that God has for you, they are a wonderful person. But you're not ready. So now you got to go back to what God asked you to do and prepare yourself all over again. Like Let me say it again. Okay, if God say that he promised you a car and you are thinking, okay, I'm going to get ready for this car. I'm going to save my money. I'm going to have my money together. So when God bless me with this car, I got it. I'm ready. And Satan whispered to you, ain't no car for you out here. Ain't nobody got no cars for that price. You ain't going to be able to find the kind of car that you want. They playing with you. You spend the money. And then when God has the car for you, now you got to start over saving your money because you didn't listen to Satan and you allowed him to tell you that you need to get rid of the money and spend the money on nonsense. Okay, let's do another one. God said he got a house for you and you are listening to God. You getting ready for this house. You didn't bought. You getting the furniture together. You trying to get the decorations that you want. You stacking your money up so you have a down payment. And then Satan whisper in your ear, God ain't going to give you that. You know God ain't going to give you that. And why would you get that kind of furniture? Ain't nobody going to like that kind of furniture. Why would you get that kind of bed? Ain't nobody, you don't need to get all that stuff. You listen to Satan. Okay, you decide that you're going to return all the furniture that you love, worried about what other people think, people that's not even going to be living in your house, people that's not going to be spending time in your house. If they do, it's for what, 30 minutes to an hour, a few hours at max. That, like this, it's not their house anyway, so what they want and they like don't matter. Now you done forfeited all the stuff that you have for your house. And when God get ready to give you the house, now you got to start all over buying everything. You got to hurry up and scramble together to get God said, do not allow Satan to whisper lies and nonsense in your ear. Don't allow it to happen. If God tells you that you are going to have certain things and he is going to give you certain things and you allow Satan to come and tell you that that's not so and something else is going to happen, you may very well start doing things in order to allow what Satan said to happen because Satan can't take nothing from you. Satan, he doesn't have the power that he's acting like he got. That nobody can change your destiny. Nobody can take from you. Nobody can steal the promises that God has for you, period. God said he can try all he wants to, but he gonna fail every time. Know that God has angels combating that. God has angels already on a case when it comes to that. When it comes to what Satan is planning, when it comes to what Satan is trying to do. Don't worry about what Satan is trying to do. You worry about what God told you to do. And that's what you focus on. And that's the message. God is saying for whoever this is for, and while you are focused on what God is asking you to focus on, when you finish focusing on what God has asked you to focus on, you will receive your blessing. Don't allow Satan to distract you. Don't allow Satan to cause you distress and disarray. Don't allow Satan to lie to you and tell you that something can be stolen from you or that something is not going to happen, because it is a bold-faced lie. And that's the message. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.